Plaquemine Parish Council, August the 10th. Council meeting is now called to order. We'll have roll call. Let the record reflect that we have 8 council members present. Reverend Evans is absent. We'll move to the next item, please.
Item 2, executive session, there are none. Item 3, proclamations, there are none. 4, status report by the parish president.
Mr. President.
Yes, sir. I was looking for the fellows with Foley and Udall. The DNR, we're going to be going through that.
Right behind
you. Oh, okay. All right. So I guess in a little bit, we'll get them to come up and talk on behalf of that right there. The adjudicated properties, the website is up and running. Right off the top of my head, I can't remember that, the site, what it's called, but what's that? Parish tax, right. And then you go and you find Plaquemines Parish, and then you can go through the properties that we have. And I guess to end on this, because I'm going to bring up Mr. Morgan to give us a little update on the saltwater events that are still going on down in the southern end of the parish. But want to commend Mitch and his team on an excellent event that they put on last weekend. I believe it was very much a success right there, and the facilities was that a lot of excitement was for that as well. Go ahead.
It was the biggest to date.
Okay. Yeah.
Since the training.
Okay. Well, good.
Great comeback.
Good. Yeah. Nice grouper too. Oh, it was the Empire South Rodeo there. Okay. Oh, Empire South Pass Rodeo. Right. So if I could, yeah, where were we? So if I could bring Mr. Morgan up right now, just to give us a 5-minute talk on the water situation.
Went to Port Sulphur today. The contractor is moving forward with a lot of progress at Port Sulphur water facility. Telemetry meters are going in. Barnes Electric is moving pretty fast. We're still waiting on electricity. Did stop by the booster station. He is moving along. I think they're waiting on maybe one more part, Jeff. They have, the ground is broke. They have broke ground. The pumps are ready. The temporary pumps are ready. They should think, I'm hoping next week they have a lot of stuff going on to bring a lot of stuff in. But we're waiting on power. We're waiting on power. Everything on our end, the parish end, has been covered. But we're waiting on power at Port Sulphur. That's what we're waiting on at Port Sulphur. That's the gist of a lot of things. We're waiting on power. We have spent a lot of money there. A lot of time and effort has went in, speeding things up as fast as we can. I got all hands on deck. No stone has been unturned with it. We there, just pressing forward. That's pretty much it, Mr. President.
And this is day 50, or day 50. Last Thursday or Friday was day 43, so here we are 7 days later, which is, we are ahead of the game this year. Even by the time we have this up and running next week, we're still ahead of previous years on this, and what the efforts that we're doing right now, along with Infomark and Jeff and all the the administration here, this is taking care of the future as well. And we're not going to stop here. We're going to move forward with improving the water system throughout the parish. So this is just the beginning of it.
Mr. Parents, can we stop there?
Yeah.
While we have Mr. Robinson at the mic. Mr. Robinson. Projected time when the Port Sulphur water station going to be up and running?
I'm going to say, let's say 8 to 12 days. Let's say that. 8 to 12 days.
Being conservative?
Yeah, being conservative. 8 to 12 days, somewhere around there. I'm I'm pressing them faster than that, though. We're looking for power. We there. I'm on top of them every day. We're there. We're down there every day. We got all our chemicals ready. But the power is the biggest issue. It's nothing on our side. It's just the power. We're waiting. We're trying to get everybody we can to pull some strings. Jeff calling everybody. Mr. DeMarco, Keith calling everybody. On the energy side, it's just trying to pull some wires. They're pulling wires left and right. We was, like, we was hit by a lot of thieves, so they got to pull some wires that wasn't there. That a lot of copper was stolen at Port Sulphur. And they having a lot of time pulling wire, brand new wire, and just having energy move. We're putting in brand new poles. We're putting in a lot of stuff that wasn't there. And this stuff that they put in there for the temporary service is going to be used for a permanent fix at Port Sulphur. And the booster station, we had valves flown in. We actually went and got some valves from Florida that they couldn't find. They told us it was going to be a month out. We drove all the way to Florida and got them in, I think, 7 days. So a lot of stuff we did it ourselves. So we did a lot of stuff in house as much as we could. But like the parish president said, this is going to be a permanent fix. It's not a temporary fix. So we're almost there. That's where we're trying to get there.
Good news. At the Port Sulphur Water Station, do we have saltwater intrusion there?
No, numbers are still low.
We good?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Chlorides are low at Port Sulphur and East Point Harrison.
Okay. When the temporary booster station is online, what is the PSI?
Coming in, it's going to be around 40 to 50 psi.
I'm talking about going out, going south.
Going out, going south. I'm trying to think.
Right now, it's at 55 psi in the area, so the booster station should raise it by 20 psi, so maybe 75 psi.
Going down south.
That's good, good, awesome.
Yeah.
We also have Mr. Collins, which would like to ask some questions.
I appreciate all the hard work y'all doing on it.
It should have been done 3 years ago. Instead of hiring a engineering firm, should have let y'all go ahead and fix it back then. Or when the new administration came in, should have started it. I don't see an urgency in trying to fix it. We need a state of emergency. Saltwater's been there for 4 months. And here we are in August and maybe another 2 weeks. And he said 8 to 12 days, that's 2 weeks.
It's been 53 days. June 20th.
I got a text going to him. Patrick said that the river wasn't dropped low enough. I sent him one from NOAA, and that's when it started. And I don't see an urgency to try to get anything done. If this would have been in Belchase, it'd have been fixed already.
Well,
And
I'll tell you what, Mr. Morgan can attest to this right here. When I got into office, I pushed hard to move. I can tell you right now, if I wouldn't have pushed as hard as I did with Trigon and getting the West Point Lahash facility up and running, we'd probably still be further behind right now, because as soon as I got into office, I started pushing hard to get it back on from day one.
well, Trigon's been there for 2.5 years, and
Well, I can't
get
help
anything
that
done.
right there. So,
And
but I'm telling you, since day one, I've been pushing hard, and Mr. Morgan and Mr. DeMarco can attest to that right there, and you can talk to Mr. Dugan. Look, when I got in, I didn't want to hear any excuses, because I totally agree with you. It should have been done 2 or 3 years ago.
it should have, and that's why I'm saying it. There's no
And we weren't
urgency.
sitting back, no one was sitting back just waiting for a situation to happen.
Now I'm
to
getting
happen.
complaints that school kids have got to bring their own water to school. So
All right, Mr. Morgan, any more comments, anything? Any comments from the table? Mr. President,
I
could you
just have
please
one-
continue?
Yeah, I just have one more comment, is that I've got a meeting Monday evening with Mr. Scrumetta, the commission, Public Service Commission there. So if we don't have anything between now and then on the power, I'm going to put it in his hands, and he'll take care of business there. So,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Champagne?
Hey, one thing I'd like to mention, in meetings I've had with the parish president, one of the things he is talking about is redundancy and resiliency in our system, so we're not faced with this again. So he's already assured me, that we're going to have a system that is not failure-proof, but we won't have these single points of failure throughout it, where he's working with the port to continue to improve the availability of water, push down south, and I applaud your efforts on that, and keep up the good work. Thank you. I yield.
I have one more question. Mr. Robert, when that booster station come online and you go up to 75 pounds PSI, that would be enough to push to Venice?
Yes, sir.
Good, thank you.
We have Port Sulphur and booster station. That's the goal. Boothville, saltwater. We're trying to get rid of
So
Boothville.
we'll be pushing water from Belle Chase all the way to Venice.
It's going to go from the booster station, Port Sulphur, all the way to Venice.
Good, good,
So saltwater will be a thing in the past.
good, thank you. You finished with your updates? Thank you, Mr. President. We'll move to the next item, please.
4A, update by charter directors.
Hold on. Mr., you would like to give a comment?
Rob Forshey. I want to congratulate the administration for doing what they've done and getting this thing moving to the point where it should have been in the last administration and when the last council was set. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. It's not happened fast enough. I agree. And there's things that could have been done way back before this administration came in that would have eliminated the salt water down there. But it didn't happen. And we're stuck with what we have now. But I think that in my construction knowledge and what I have heard and what I see being done, that this is going to solve the issues of water in Plaquemines Parish, all the way down to the mouth of the river. So I congratulate them on doing what they're doing, and I appreciate it. And I think that with eyes wide open, I think that other people will see that as well. So I congratulate them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Clarence Brooks, 156 Crossover Land, Phoenix, Louisiana. The same old song. We had, it was the first, August 1st, I think it was last week, Tuesday. I collected some rust water by the church, St. John Baptist Church, and by one of the neighbors that addresses 127, 128, something like that. It was rusty water, and I was just walking with it and put it in my little bottle, like I got like 4 or 5 bottles of different dates of rusty water, and this had a team from restoration. They was putting tops on roofs, and the lady said, "What you got there?" And she thought I had a cup of cocoa. "How does this out here?" She thought I had a cup of cocoa. I said, "No, that's water came out of the faucets." And she took some pictures of it, and she said that something got to be done by this. I'm just trying to tell you, we still have these problems. So whenever you're finished with Port Sulphur and Boothville and Venice, we need to take a ride on that side. We don't get it every day. And I'm going to tell you, like I said 100 times, they make perfect water over there. It's just the distribution system has the problem. We got pipes that need to be taken up. So whenever Mr. President says you're going to get with us and you're going to help us and solve some of these problems, and I know you will. He got a lot on his hand, but don't forget us. Thank you.
Mr. Morgan, can you look into this matter for me and see what is the issue on the East Bank?
Yes, sir. We haven't received a call in a while.
Could you please come to the mic?
Yes, sir. We're looking into it. I had talked to Reverend Edwards about it, and he did collect some samples, but it was unfounded for the last several times that he went and looked at it. And I had Wade check into it, and it was unfounded. So we will look at it again. But the lines that has been identified, me and Mr. DeMarco, the parish already looking for the funds to replace the lines, and that's in the Breakaway area on the northern end. So those lines has been identified, and those lines are already looking for, the parish is already looking for funding to replace those lines. The grants have been, I think they're looking for, identified for. I think the parish president is already on that to look for grants to replace the lines, but they're on the northern end. The area that he's talking about, I don't believe they have cast iron lines to be able to cause the rust in the line. So that's something I will speak to Reverend Evans about and look for that area. But like I said, I'm not sure what the areas that he's talking about, but I have had Wade look at them, and we'll look at them again. So
Hey, while we're here today, can you exchange numbers?
yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Morgan.
all right.
Thank you for everything that you do for our water system in Plaquemine Parish. Thank you. Any more comments from the audience? From the table? Next item, please.
4A, update by charter directors.
I have one announcement. The online permitting system is finally up and running for the permit department. You can now go online to apply for a permit, and the payment system is live as well. This is the first rollout of this is the first phase. The first phase is the online permitting and payment system. Later on, I guess, for lack of a better term, question and answer back and forth of what's needed to finish the process will be rolled out. But this should streamline the permitting process and make it a little easier to push the permits through the process.
Just an update on grass. Obviously, grass grows fast this time of year, and thankfully, we don't have much rain. But on the south end is where the tractors are now. We do have a couple up in the Jezreel Bend area headed down. The tractors are headed up from Venice. Mr. Kognovich and I discussed that already. Fort Jackson's being cut. This weekend, they'll probably start cutting the River Road side into early next week to help with all the kids standing out there for the school bus, all that type of stuff. Some spots grow faster than others. It's the Johnson grass that becomes an issue. They are on top of it. They're cutting 7 days a week. If anybody's calling you on particular situations, locations, on times, you're more than welcome to pass my name and number to them. Everyone I've spoke to was over the moon excited that they got an answer. Usually they're getting all their information off of Facebook, and that's almost always wrong. So again, if someone's calling you, other than, you don't have to send a public work request, you can just call them, have them call me directly, and we'll answer all the questions for you, make it a lot easier for you. Kind of eliminate that middleman and make sure they're getting correct, accurate information, real time. If you need anything else, like always, just call us. We'll put out any fires you got. We'll answer any questions you got. It's been going good. It's just, we need a little patience. It's only been 8 months. Thank you much.
On the administrative side, as the years quickly passing by, we're in August. Finance is getting ready for budget preparation. And on that note, they have been working on employee raises. And in the next meeting, we'll be coming forth with an introduction, hopefully, to be voted on the following meeting in reference to that. Finance has 2 pieces of legislation on the agenda today. In reference to the hurricane recovery notes, asking for your support in that. Community Action Agency, there's going to be an introduction done today. They're preparing for contracts for transportation for the fiscal year 2024, community service block grants for low income residents. Also, they're currently taking applications for LAHEAP and LAWAP. One is energy assistance and the other is water assistance. On the human resources side, we're getting ready for insurance renewals. So we'll be having committee meetings to discuss the different companies and looking at renewals for 2024. Also, things have been picking up as far as hiring. Civil Service sent out about 8 to 10 new employee clearance in the last week and a half, so things are picking up in that area.
Ms. Taylor, I would like to thank you for being here today. I know you and your family, y'all have been going through a lot. May God bless you, and we can keep her family in our prayers, because I know the last 2 years been hard on y'all. Thank you for being here. Also, while we giving updates, I would like to thank Miss Patty Vokes. Miss Patty Vokes went into Diamond Park, and she cut the grass and made hay. I think she made about 90 bales in there.
Baseball field at the Rex Field, church, tried to get her to do the fort, but I don't know.
I told her she could have all the levy, she could she could head up. So, again, thank y'all. Thank y'all for what y'all do, and we'll move to the next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements.
Oh, I'm sorry, Miss McCarty.
Mr. Marco, could you please tell for the people where they can find the permit department online? Is it on the front page of the website?
I'll have Ms. Amitra come up and tell you exactly where it is, but I'm sure it's at the government website under the permits department. Or maybe not.
There is the link on the home page, and you can also go on Plaquemines Parish Government, under the Government tab, go under the Departments, Permits, and you'll find a link. There's also a video that should show them how to apply. We also have paperwork, documents, and packets at the public government buildings as well as the public libraries. So we're open, we're ready, and to accept them online. Thank you.
And Mr. Witchers, I'm going to get with you offline about Industry Canal and Covert Road and North Calazard Road, about the Castlord, the lilies. If we can borrow that machine. Yeah, thank you. That's it.
I don't know when the machine's coming, but we got the guy that did the fort that we might be able to hire to clean out the lilies. Weed out. I got his contact information.
Get that to Billy if you would.
Huh?
Next item.
5, bids and advertisements. There are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Ian, if you have one. Mr. Konovich.
Got a book of one. Family Dollar Store of Louisiana, 36175 Highway 23, Buras.
Mr. Champagne.
Asahi Sushi Bar and Asian Grill, 102 Woodland Highway.
Say that, yeah.
It's Japanese. I did my best. And also are we doing the special permits? I have one for, let's see, up here. Plaquemines, it's event, Plaquemines Community Center Celebrity Waiter Dinner on September 21st, 2023.
Is there any comments from the audience? From the table? I have a motion by Mr. Champagne. I'm sorry. I have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item, please.
7, building permits. 7A, no items under 7A. 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
Yes. Okay, after we take, let me do the introductions.
The following are introduced for Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund operating expenditure budgets, buildings, Grand Bayou Community Center Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 revenue and operating expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating revenue and expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 General Fund fund balance designations and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare the necessary application to the Louisiana Workforce Commission receiving the Community Services Block Grant Funds for the program year 2024 and authorizing the President of the Plaquemines Parish Government to sign and submit said application and contract and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare and file an application with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Government for a grant under 49 CFR 5311, Formula Grant for Rural Areas and/or 49 CFR 5339, Grants for Bus and Bus Facility Program, as amended, to provide public rural transportation to the residents of Plaquemines Parish, and further authorizing the parish president to execute and file with such application and insurance or other documents required and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare the necessary application to the Louisiana Housing Corporation for a grant to provide utility assistance to the residents of Plaquemines Parish for the fiscal year 2024, and authorizing the president of the Plaquemines Parish Government to sign and submit an application and contract and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The following two are for Councilmember Schultz. An ordinance to propose an election to amend the charter for local self-government of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, to create a Department of Arts, Parks, and Recreation, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2023 operating revenue budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Dr. Gooey. An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Justin McGoey, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the map of re-subdivision, lots 513, 514, 588, 589, and 590, into lots 513 South and 589A, Square N Airport Subdivision by Bryant Hammett and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated July 15, 2022, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of Plaquemines Parish without cost to the Plaquemines Parish Government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Councilmember McCarty, a resolution urging and directing the negotiation of a cooperative endeavor agreement between Plaquemines Parish Government and Tulane University to facilitate the development of property owned by Tulane University in Plaquemines Parish, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next two are for Councilmember Jurisic, an ordinance to amend the 2023 operating expenditure budget, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and as amend, re-adopt ordinance number 23-217, adopted by the Parish Council on January 26, 2023, relative to the prohibition of any Plaquemines Parish issued permit for authorization, construction, and/or operation of any Mississippi River sediment diversion project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And the final one is for Councilmember Konovich, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, repair Tidewater Road project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. That's it.
Thank you. We move to the approval of agenda. I have two items that's going to be deferred today, and that is 9A2 is being deferred. 9A2, and also 9-4B. 9-4B is being deferred?
It's
Mr.
actually 9B.
It'd be 9B? 9B. Okay.
You just reintroduced
Yes. He's deferring it, but it's falling off.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Konovich, you would like to move to a certain item? Now, can we move to 9G?
A resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of $16 million of hurricane recovery revenue notes of the Parish of Plaquemine, State of Louisiana, the proceeds of which shall be advanced at delivery and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance, and this has changes.
Please offer the changes. Please say the changes.
I'm trying to find my legislation. A lot. Okay, let's see. On line 30 on the first page, at the end of the sentence, of the issuer is being removed. On line 47, which is on line 48, which is on page 2, purchaser is removed and lender is added. On line 63 through 64, notes has been removed, obligations have been added, and pari passu notes have been removed, and obligations have been added. On line 87 on page 3, the word purchaser has been removed, and on 88, lender has been inserted. The date of August 31st has been removed, and September 1st has been added. Under that paragraph, there's been a new one inserted, which reads as follows. Determination of taxability means any final unpayable determination, decision, decree, or advisement by the Commissioner of Internal Revenue or any District Director of Internal Revenue or any court of competent jurisdiction to the effect that, as a result of any action or inaction of the issuers, interest paid or to be paid on a note is or will be includable for federal income tax purposes in the gross income of the lender or any other owner thereof. Line 101, event default shall have the meaning given such term as section 10 hereof has been inserted. On line 103, final maturity and the word date has been added. The date with the blanks have been removed, and September 1st, 2033 has been inserted. On line 115 through 116, interest payment date, March has been removed. I'm sorry. I don't know what this really is. It was just blank. Okay, March has been inserted, and September has been inserted. And on line 116, March has been inserted, and the year 2024. The definition of lender has been included on lines 120 through 121. Lender means Regions Capital Advantage Incorporated, Birmingham, Alabama, the original purchaser of the notes. The maximum rate has been included here on lines 123 and 124. Maximum rate shall mean 7% per annum, provided that such rate shall not exceed the maximum rate allowed pursuant to Louisiana law. On the next page, on lines 152 and 153, the blanks have been filled in with Regions Bank, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. On lines 160 through 161, September has been added on line 160, and the outstanding commencing date is September 1st, 2026. On lines 163 through 164, the language regarding purchaser has been removed. On the following page, on line 185, purchaser has been changed to lender. On line 194, interest has been removed and rate of 4.33% per annum has been included. On line 198 through 213, the following has been added. Notwithstanding the foregoing, upon occurrence of an event of default or determination of taxability, the applicable rate of interest on the note shall be adjusted as set forth in a term sheet, not to exceed the maximum rate. If the rate adjustment upon a determination of taxability would otherwise exceed the maximum rate, then 1, interest at maximum rate shall be due and payable with respect to such interest period, and 2, a fee in the amount rate equal to the difference between A, the rate of interest calculated in accordance with the terms hereof, and B, the maximum rate. The excess fee shall be deferred until such date as the rate of interest calculated in accordance with the terms hereof ceases to exceed the maximum rate, at which time the issuer shall pay to the lender, but solely from available funds, with respect to the amounts then payable to the lender that are required to accrue interest hereunder, such portions of the deferred excess fee as will cause the rate of interest then paid to the lender to equal the maximum rate, which payments of deferred excess fees shall continue to apply to such unpaid amounts hereunder until all deferred excess fee is fully paid to the lender, together with the interest thereon at maximum rate. The excess fee shall not be deemed to be an increase in the interest rate on the notes. On line 221, September 1st has been added, and the following amounts have been added also. The year 2024 is 0 amount. The year 2025 is 0. In 2026, $1,710,000. 2027, $1,785,000. 28, $1,860,000. 29, $1,945,000. 2030, $2,035,000. 2031, $2,130,000. 2032, $2,230,000. And 2033, $2,305,000. On the next page, line 255 has been removed, and the following from 257 through 273 has been added. A, optional prepayment in whole. On or after September 1st, 2024, the issuer may repay the outstanding principal of the notes in whole at an amount equal to the principal amount of the notes, then outstanding plus accrued interest to date of prepayment. B, optional payment in part. On or after September 1st, 2024, the issuer may take at any time 1, 2 optional partial prepayments as it may designate in minimum amounts of $4 million each, which shall be applied A, first to the principal, if any, due on and interest accrued on the notes to such date, and B, then to reduce on a pro rata basis the remaining principal maturities of the note otherwise due, or 2, other optional partial prepayments in a minimum amounts of $1 million each of which shall be applied, A, first to the principal, if any due, on the interest and accrued on the notes to such date, and B, then to reduce the remaining principal maturities of the note in inverse order. C, notice of prepayment. Official notice of the call of any of the notes for prepayment shall be given by the paying agent by means of 1, first-class mail, postage prepaid by notice deposited into United States mails not less than 5 days prior to the prepayment date, or 2, electronic transmission no later than 5 days prior to the prepayment date. On line 275, subsection B is now subsection D. In section 8 on the following page, notes has been removed and it now reads additional parity obligations. On line 313, notes has been removed and obligations has been inserted on line 314. Line 330, notes have been removed and obligations added. On line 332, notes have been removed, obligations added. The same changes are also on 334 and 340. Also, page 357, on line 357, line 359, not line 367. Line 378, section 10 has been deleted and the word default has been added. On line 384, the language as follows has been added, either of which shall be an event of default. On the following page, on line 387, thereafter has been removed and the following language has been inserted until such event of default is cured. On 388, interest rate has been removed and replaced with maximum rate. At the end of 388, plus 300 basis points not to exceed the maximum rate allowed by the laws of the state of Louisiana has been removed. On the last page, which starts with section 23, on line 523 under section 24, purchaser has been removed and lender has been inserted. Term sheet attachment as Exhibit A has been added. Purchaser removed, lender placed in there on line 526 and also going into line 527. Then lines 531 to 533 have been removed. It is expressly noted that the principal amount of the notes authorized hereunder is less than the maximum principal amount authorized by the term sheet. Attaches Exhibit A here too. And then the last change is on the certificate, the vote page, and it's the 10th day of August. And that is it. Right, I think I deserve, yeah. Go read it.
I so offer with changes. Seconded by Mr. Konovich. I yield the floor to Mr. Brexler.
Okay.
Lee Brexler. Please state your name, address.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lee Bressler with Raymond James. I live at 35 Versailles Boulevard in New Orleans. And that was quite an introduction there of the ordinance. But what happened is, we went out to the market to try to sell these bonds to get the lowest interest rate possible. And just as a reminder, this is to fund the projects that FEMA has approved for reimbursement. So hopefully they'll pay the interest as well. But in any case, we wanted to get not only the lowest interest rate, but the most flexibility to pay them off early when and if the FEMA money comes in. So we went out to 6 different banks, and we received proposals from 5, and these were basically the 5 major players in this particular market in Louisiana. And we got proposals from Regions, JP Morgan Chase, Capital One, Trustmark, and Investar. And the one that's had the lowest rate and the most flexibility was the Regions proposal. And each bank has their own form that they like to use, and we had introduced a very generic form which we thought would cover most of the terms. But for example, as you noticed, Regions prefers to be called lender instead of purchaser. So that was one of the changes that kept appearing through the document. So the interest rate is 4.33 that they're offering. The offer is good through this evening. And, again, we're able to prepay in a year. We don't have to start paying principal for 3 years. So hopefully in that period, a lot of the money will come in, and if you all want to use that to pay off the debt, that's what you can do. So we've visited with you all and given you a lot of the details. I'm happy to answer any questions or provide any other information for the public, but this is a very attractive financing. We talked with several of you all about the investment opportunities for the money until it's spent and when it comes in, and there may be an opportunity there as well. And so we think it's a very good package for the parish, and we're recommending it.
Thank you. Jason Akers with Foley and Udell, Bond Counsel. Again, we tried to warn you in the digest. It notes that if this resolution is to be adopted, it will be amended prior to adoption to incorporate the chosen lender's terms. It sounds a lot longer and a lot more voluminous than it was in terms of the amendments when they're read out loud. But all this did was incorporate the terms of the region's finance proposal. For example, as Lee just mentioned, they prefer to be called lender instead of purchaser. That's a securities law determination they've made internally. They'd like to keep up, continue to be referred to as lender. They wanted the additional parity obligations instead of additional parity notes to encompass anything that may be called a bond or a certificate in the future. The determination of taxability in the event of default are matters that they view as credit risks. So if you fail to make a payment or if there's a determination of taxability, they want the ability, it's not a guarantee, but they want the ability to be able to increase the interest rate on the note to reflect that change in credit for them. That actually was, those terms were actually captured in a number of the other proposals that we received as well, so that's not an unusual request. The redemption features that are contained in Section 3, we actually thought were very favorable because one of the things that we looked at was what are the various redemption features that are offered by the proposed lenders, and these were probably the most favorable terms that we got, so we had to incorporate those in as well. So apologize for the volume of the amendments there, but with the resolution, as Lee said, this will accept the proposal from Regions Equipment Finance. We'll move forward to closing on September 1st, and you'll have all the funds in hand at that point. The last thing is you notice there are two resolutions on the agenda. 9G was for a full drawdown, and 9H was for a draw as needed. Of the 6 banks that we solicited in the 5 proposals that came in, none offered the opportunity for a drawdown. Everyone wants to advance the funds up front. We actually are just in a very volatile market in our business right now in the muni world. And in that volatile market, they don't want to be able to, or they don't want to have to hold open funds to be advanced sometime in the future when they don't know what interest rates are going to look like there. Lee can provide a lot more character and color on that, if you will. But we're happy to answer any questions that you have and happy to be able to work with you again.
Thank you, Mr. Akers. Is there any comments from the audience?
First off, what's the money being used for? What's the use of funds?
These are FEMA-related projects. These are projects that they're pretty much all reimbursable.
There's a schedule somewhere. I expect it is. And it's also from damages from FEMA?
Well, from Ida.
Hurricane.
From Ida. And the repayments, a lump sum payment, repayment, or is it a stage payment?
No, it's going to come in dribs and drabs, I assume.
Is the rate renegotiable the way you can,
Everything's been negotiated.
in the front end?
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't recast it?
You could refinance in the future.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
There's no
if rates go
prohibition
down.
against it or penalties associated?
Exactly.
Okay.
Not after September 1 of
Okay.
24.
Okay. As a side note of comedy, I assume these were the extra pages that we didn't find that were with the SP contract, and it's making you all read those now?
Don't go nowhere yet. Alton Henry. Hey, man, that was transparency at its best. I enjoyed that. All the many years I've been coming here, the first time I ever heard something like that. And I really enjoy it. I only got one thing. What's y'all cost for the people? Could you tell the people y'all cost? What y'all getting out of this? People got to know.
Well, the total costs associated with it for all of our fees is approximately 1% of the loan, which amounts to all of the required regulatory fees, our fee as counsel, and the opinions that we render, Lee's firm's fees associated with the placement of the bonds and so forth. 1% is, I would say, well within what is a reasonable range for a deal of this size.
Oh, I can live with that. That's fine.
Thank you. Any more comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just remind that 9H can be withdrawn. It won't move forward.
Okay, we'll move to 9H. 9H will be withdrawn. Mr. Jurich?
Chairman, I'd like to move to 9F.
We'll move to 9F, please.
An ordinance establishing a temporary moratorium on new trailer, RV, and camper parks for the area from the parish line to LaRousse Naomi for a period of 6 months and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic. And this does it have change? Are we doing changes? Yeah.
We have changes. In Section 1, the language has been added at the end of line 29 through line 33 as follows. Trailer, RV, and camper parks on the west bank of Plaquemines Parish for the area from LaRousse Naomi Siphon, more precisely GPS coordinate latitude 29.70034, longitude negative 89, 987-228 north to the parish line. And the moratorium will now begin after the adoption of the ordinance and upon signature of the parish president. And any application, we're in Section 2 now, any applications for RVs and trailer, RV, and campers received on or before August 10th shall be exempt from the moratorium established by this ordinance. And those are the changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurich. He offered with the changes. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience?
John Canoy, in reference to the second change that you mentioned, can you clarify what you mean by, can you clarify what applications will be included? Does that include those of us who have applied for zoning change and are still in limbo in reference to that?
Would you please key in, Mr. Jurich? Okay, now your mic is on.
All right, Mr. Mitra, can you clarify that?
So if an application is just during the map change process, it will be affected by the moratorium. You're just changing your property to become a MH zoning classification. Therefore, you have not started any permitting phase for an RV or trailer park.
Thank you.
Okay, so despite the fact that the application does ask you what the purpose, the intended purpose is, and the application specifies that it is for an RV park, is that not considered the beginning of the process?
During a map change, you have multiple zoning classifications. So since we're speaking about mobile home parks, I want to reference that zoning classification. In a MH zoning classification, you can do multiple things. You can do farming, you can do houses, you can do 1 or 2 trailers, you can do a recreational park, you can do a full-size mobile home park. So therefore, when you're doing the map change, you still have other things that you can do. So just because you're requesting at that time, you want to do a park, you still have not created the permitting phase.
Okay, to elaborate a little further, and I know Amitra is clarifying the rules as they exist, but I'm sure that the council probably has within their powers and ability to include those of us who've begun the rezoning process. Is that not a possibility, and is that something you would consider?
We'll call on Danny. Danny, can you answer this one?
The way the ordinance was introduced, it did not address the issue of zoning. there's essentially a two-part process. If you have property that's not in an MH zone, you have to get it zoned for MH. You then have to get a mobile home park permit as well, because you have to make sure that your mobile home park meets the requirements. So you have to be in the mobile home zone. So the way the ordinance was introduced and then the amendments really didn't change that. They just made some clarity on where the line was in the parish, is that if you have already applied for your mobile home park permit, then the moratorium would not apply. Now you can, if you're still at the stage where you haven't yet got your property zoned as MH, you can still apply for that rezoning, and they can still grant or deny that rezoning based upon its own merits. It's just then when you get to the point of applying for your mobile home park permit, if the moratorium is still in place, you would be affected by that moratorium. The only people that wouldn't be affected by it are the people who prior to today have already, or on or before today, have already submitted their mobile home park permit, and those people already are in an MH zone most likely.
All right. Well, yeah, having gotten those questions answered, I'd like to restate what four of the council members heard last night. I personally am opposed to the moratorium. I would prefer, I think the parish is better served by addressing each and every individual RV park as it comes up. I did tell Councilman Jurisic after the meeting last night, I like the concept of the town hall that we did. However, I think much more could be accomplished in getting both sides of a disagreeable situation on the same page if we were to have something more like a committee and include those parties so that we can try to get on the same page. I think the parish's needs, including those of Venture Global and the influx of workers, I think those needs would be better met that way. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
From what I'm hearing, there has been a new rezoning. That's what y'all saying? It's not been also all the old plans that was set in a couple of months ago, it still exists, right? Because I have a trailer, I still have that Sam trailer that I want to put on property, and I see these saying trailers, campers, or RVs. I was told you couldn't put a trailer on your property.
Not for the East Bank. Just the West Bank.
Just the West Bank? Well, but the trailer I want to rent out for 6 months for someone to live in, to work at that plant, Sam plant, and I can't do it. So
you're already there.
Huh?
You're already there.
I'm already there.
If you've zoned and you have a trailer sitting there, you can rent your trailer.
Okay, that's all I want to hear. That's true, Amitra?
I'm sorry, Mr. Valley comes talking in the middle of your statement, so I don't know what you said.
Right.
Say that one more time.
The Sam trailer, I came to y'all and talked to y'all about sometime last year in February, March.
And what do you want to do?
I want to put that trailer online so I could get electric, water and sewer. You say no.
It's elevation process.
That's the elevation.
That's something
Why?
totally different.
It's going to be used for 6 months because
That's something totally different, Mr. Bryce. Call my office tomorrow
All right.
at 8 o'clock in the
No,
morning.
I'm going to do better. I'm going to come over and talk to you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any more comments from the audience?
Good afternoon, Thomas Bagnell. First of all, I'd like to thank the commissioners that put on the town hall meeting last night, Commissioner Jurisic, Commissioner Newsom, Commissioner McCarty, Commissioner Champagne, and thank you, President, for attending also. And there were a lot of things that went on last night. Of course, you had two factions. That's always the case. You have a small faction that's for it, a large faction that's against it. And I think what this moratorium would do is it would bring everybody to the table to say, we do have to have some restrictions, all right? You know, and that was one of my arguments last night is we've had people, and I'm one of them, that my family has been here for 150 years, okay? So then we have another group that want to come in here and put RV parks, and they don't care if they put it 2 feet from my property. I have a problem with that, you know? A lot of strips in our area are small strips. Most people look at acres. All of our property was ARPN. So if you are French and you've been here for 150 years, you know there's an ARPN. So there's little small pieces of property. So I'm not against anybody making money. When these people came in and bought this property or looked at the property, it was zoned A2. It was zoned agricultural. And most people in this area know that this property that we're talking about, from Larry Seat up toward Jesuit Bend, up to toward the base, was always used for agricultural purposes. And that's, of course, that's my relevance. That's how it should stay. That's how I'll make my living. I could take my property, knock down my greenhouses, and put in an RV park. That's not what it's about. So I'm just looking at, if we're going to put RV parks, we have to have some type of barriers. Okay, so I don't think anybody here, I want people to think for a second, is 20 years ago when the Peavage family developed Springwood, if I would have went and bought 20 lots in Springwood and just sat on it, kept the grass cut, planted some little crepe myrtle trees and kept it nice and neat for 20 years, and people around here all built nice houses, and then I'm like, you know what, I really don't want to build a house. I think I want to put a pig farm right there. I don't think anybody would be happy with a pig farm in Springwood. So why should I be happy with an RV park in the middle of my field? So I think we have to have some kind of boundaries. I'm not going to stand here and say I'm opposed to progress, because I'm not. I'm a business guy. I want to see things happen. But there have to be things in place that doesn't affect the people around them. That's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Any more comments from the audience?
Rob Forshey.
Come on up.
Excuse me.
Please come up. Keep on. Come on.
All right. I don't, never mind.
I'm trying to get this process up.
Look, I do not understand. I think y'all are setting yourself up for a lawsuit. I do not understand why y'all would deny someone who has already started a process of doing what they're doing. You need to look at each individual RV park. A moratorium doesn't work. You know, I stated that last night, I think, at the meeting. Each RV park needs to be looked at. And if there is issues with neighbors such as Mr. Becknell or anyone else, then of course that needs to be taken into consideration. And maybe that particular piece of property does not need to be developed as an RV park. But it needs to be looked at individually. And that way you are allowing people who can put something that can help the situation that we have in this parish right now and not delay them 6 months. 6 months is a long time for them to be delayed in order to develop a piece of property that they're doing their best to provide housing for something that is going to make the people of Plaquemines Parish very fluent in their budgets. And in their funding for this parish. So the bottom line is that I think y'all are setting yourself up for a lawsuit who has already put a permit in for a change, and in that permitting change of zoning, it specifically states that it's for an RV park. So With that being said, that is why you would be setting yourself up for a lawsuit. And I think that you're going to wind up getting plenty of them too. Any of these guys who have the money to set these things up. So bottom line is, I think you need to reconsider the avenue you're taking. I think that y'all are on the right track of trying to make sure that these facilities are adequate and correctly installed and built. But by all means, you need to consider each and every one of them. And look, I looked at the parish website, and if you look at the parish website, there's some clear definitions that you have to go through in order to put an RV park in, whether it be 1, 2, 3, or 5, or 50, or 150. There are clear rules and regulations that are in ordinances and resolutions that are already on the books for this parish. So I think you should use the tools you have in order to regulate this problem. So I yield.
Any more comments from the audience, please?
Larry Burris. He said basically everything I was going to say other than the lawsuit part of it. But, I really believe you guys really need to think about it before you vote yes or no even about a moratorium. Just think about it is all I ask. Do it case by case. See what the owner wants, or the potential buyer wants to do with the property, what he wants to put on it, how he's going to corner it off or whatever. Just think about all that for me. That's all I ask. Thank you.
Mr. Georgich?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Hey, this is a big issue. This ordinance says from the parish line. That includes from Belchase to Laura Seat. And the elephant in there is Belchase. We want Belchase to be pristine. But look, man, you got this $25 billion plant down there. They need people. They need places to stay. Let some of these people that live in the parish who've been living there for centuries, let them make some of their money. You don't need no moratorium. You need to let people make some of their money they need to make. Let the people live good. Thank you.
Donald Valley. First, Mitch, I'd like to thank you for bringing your meeting yesterday to the public. It was necessary. I like some of the comments that people have already made tonight about trying to put a committee together, and it needs to move forward. I can tell you there's two things that I looked at before I came and spoke to you with you all last night, and not everybody was there. One, we got to look long-term, and we got to be considerate in what we do. Our neighbors, all these people were here first before somebody wants to profiteer from what we're doing. And there's nothing wrong with making a profit, but let's do it within reason. Now, I used to serve on a board in Baton Rouge, and we provided affordable housing. And there's a term that you all mentioned last night. It's called NIMBY, not in my backyard. We fought that over and over and over to provide affordable housing for people that were in need. There's a lot of federal laws that apply to that, some of which we need to concern ourselves about when you start talking about moratoriums, restricting people from any use, etc. I think you need a committee. I think you need to have some good dialogue about what's going to happen after the fact, long term, to all these trailer parks that are going to end up ghost towns and horrible features. What are we going to do to the people that got the Becknell forms, etc., next to the road, or your house down the road? Think about what we're doing. Now, there's an immediate need now, as I mentioned last night to you all. There's some estimates that these people are telling me it could be 8,000 to 10,000 people coming here. We have to shelter them in some form of fashion. But how do we do it in a reasonable manner? I can tell you, she's got a good department. They have a thorough investigation what they do on how they process it. We might need to refine those things as we go over the years, as this thing grows in magnitude, but we need to do it with time. You have people right now willing to put capital out to invest. Global Venture is not doing it. They did it in Lake Charles on 2 different plants. They refused to do it. They don't want to be in the apartment business, if you want to call it that. Okay? We're now in the bus business. We're in the water business down the road. So we need to think about, yes, water. Buses, we have buses. We provide buses to transport people now. I don't know if you're aware of that. 8 or 10 buses going every day. I can't hear. Okay. You started good, I got to tell you, okay? You got many people that would be involved in that, and they should be involved in it. The citizens. And all I'm asking is, hold off today, defer to it, say, let's set up a committee with you guys. You're all looking out for your constituents, there's no question about it. And we don't want them to run rampant, that all of a sudden, I listen to people want up to 100 units a day, crank up. And when it starts rolling, they're coming. They're going to come with that money, and they're going to build all these trailer parks like you won't believe. I wouldn't rezone anything that we can live with things after the fact. But what I would live with, in the immediate need, take care of the people that are here within reason. Thank you.
Any more comments from the audience? From the table?
I still have some.
Okay.
All right. We took these points, well taken last night. And this moratorium, even though it says 6 months, I would like to see it end a lot quicker. That's my goal. But we have to get everyone to the table. If we keep deferring, we're not going to get to the table. This is a point to get us to the table. I want to get these committees. I want to get people together. We're not turning our back. We're not passing a moratorium and turning our back. We're going to hit this ground running. Guess what? We still have a parish left below the diversion, sir. We do have a parish left below the diversion. It doesn't end at La Rosite. It doesn't end at the refinery. There's still a parish on the lower end. There's still a parish on the East Bank. Let's keep that in mind, okay? Some of those people have properties that are available. So right now, it's not that we're deterring anyone. We're just looking to get a grip on what's happening, what's blowing up in this one area. My constituents come to me. I am for the people. I am for my people. Yes, I am. And that's what I'm here for. I have to stand for what my, don't interrupt me. I have to stand here for what my client, my constituents asked me to do. A majority of them have come to me, and that's what I'm doing. I'm doing this for the people. But I promise, my solemn promise is we will work through this and we will try to come to some common ground. We do have to pass some exit strategies. We got to get something in place. That has to be in place before we move forward with this. And we're going to do rather quick. And when we come up with those proposals, I want to bring them to the town hall again and explain what's going on. So this is going to happen. This is my responsibility, and I'm going to take it on. And you can shake your head all you want, but you're going to see. So that's all I have to say.
Mr. Konovich?
In my opinion, I'm not for this. All I hear from up the road, I don't want it next to me. Send it down the road. Well, the people down the road want it next to them. But we're going to get it shoved down our throat, though, because, that's down the road. Send it down there. And I talked to the sheriff today about it, and he has no crime in any of the trailer parks. He says there's none. And I agree, you don't want things next to you. You bought a house, you bought a property, and you don't want it next to you. Hell, where I live, I didn't want a sewage plant next to me, but I got it anyway. But progress is there, and sometimes we got to take what we get.
Dr. Gouy?
We have a system in place that I'm confident with. If anyone wants to take their piece of property and do a zoning change, they have a process to go through. And that process is fair and equitable. It allows for an individual to go to Ms. Amitra, tell her what they want to do. She explains the process to them. If everything comes to where everyone, Ms. Amitra and the person agrees to it, they have to go to the zoning board. And the zoning board has rules and regulations to follow. They check the safety, they check the infrastructure. They send letters to the residents. They put it in the paper for advertisement. A hearing is held. People who are opposed get to come to the hearing and voice their opinion. And from that, if any restrictions have to be put based on those comments, then that would be put in the order by the zoning board if they choose to make that change. And even if they do, they still have to come back to the council, so the council gets to hear it. So there's a process in place, and I believe in the process, and I believe in the individuals who are serving on those boards to do what's in the best interest of the public. Is everyone going to agree? No, everyone's not going to agree. No one ever agrees on anything completely. But we have a process that allows for public input, and we have laws on the books that are regulated by boards to comply with those laws. I know this is very emotional, and I understand it, because I could be one of the property owners that have been there 100 years, and if someone puts something next to me that I don't like, I'll be at the zoning board to voice my opinion. And I'll voice my opinion based on the facts, and hopefully I'll get my way. But if I don't, I'm still confident that the law was followed. I yield.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, last night we held the town hall meeting, and it went very well. I was very pleased with the comments. I think everyone both sides had great arguments. Emotions were in check, and people really spoke with facts. And it was well done. I applaud Mitch and Ronnie for putting that on last night. It was well executed. But there are some concerns, and Dr. Huey, you talk about a process, and I do believe in a process. I'm very process-oriented. But some things that are out there that are different with these trailer parks. We're not talking about building permanent trailer parks, nor are we building a KOA trailer park that's going to be an RV destination. This is temporary in nature. Now, this is skilled labor that's coming here. They're bringing very nice trailers, expensive trucks, and they're here to work and do great things for Plaquemines Parish. But there's some things we need to consider that are unique to what we're trying to do. One of them is an exit strategy. I've heard that used a number of times. And what happens when this is over? What do we do with that? You're going to have sewer treatment plants that are left on the site. That's a biohazard. Who's pulling up the pipes? What are we doing? So I think we need to clearly identify how do we rehabilitate that property. And I've heard many of these folks saying, well, I'm going to turn it into an RV destination. Let's be real, it's not going to be one. You can't have 50 RV destinations in Plaquemines Parish. It will be unoccupied. So to speak to some of the people like Mr. Becknell says, I've been living here forever and I'm going to continue to live here. Appearance is very important. That exit strategy is important to him. So I think if we get together, we do a moratorium, like Mitch said, we put a timeline only on there to make people stop and think and get together and say, let's form committees and say, what is acceptable? How do we make this thing look nice, fulfill its function, and get the VG facility built, and getting these folks out of here and rehabilitating that property and putting it back to whatever we want it to be. We can always turn it back into agriculture or whatever. There is a need for this now, but I think we need to slow down a bit and look at this. There are some specific FEMA requirements that we aren't even touching. Have you ever wondered why we don't have to elevate those temporary trailers, but everyone has to elevate a permanent one? Totally different rules. And something else to consider, what is our hurricane plan? How are we going to get all these trailers that we're not? There's some things we have to consider. There's some things that we, as a parish, owe these folks who are building these RV parks, some considerations that we must take a look at. So another thing we need to do, we need to have a better dialogue with VG. They've done this before. This ain't the first trailer park they had to build. They just finished this in Cameron. We need to look at some of their successes and failures and figure out what we can do to not have failures. So I really am not a moratorium guy, but I know it's an ugly word, but I do agree with Councilman Jurisich's approach to, we put this out there and we get together and collectively come up with a plan to where the residents here are happy with the appearance of these things. When they're allowed, they're nice, they're secure, that we have an exit strategy to get them out and make them pristine again. Some of the concerns last night were, what if we had some bad actors here? Well, we need to have conditions for that. Maybe we have dialogue with VG, because if there's a bad actor, we contact them and have that person removed or fired and get them out of here. We haven't done that. This is unique to us. And I think we need to get together, put our heads together, all of us, both sides, and come up with a plan and get VG at the table to talk with us. With that, I yield.
Mr. Schultz?
So yes, I have gone back and forth on this. I've talked to Mr. Jurisic, making possible some amendments, either 3 months, only for changes in zones, different things. The problem is that I see, I've gone to a zoning board meeting, I've read the minutes from the other ones, and a lot of times the same issues are coming up. This, to me, we knew this was coming years ago. And I feel like we weren't prepared. We're dealing with this now, and we have to change our laws or restrictions, stuff like that. And I think with this moratorium, it will allow us to make some changes. The problem, and Mr. Champagne hit on this, is we knew this was coming, but nothing was done. But we know in 5 years when all these RV parks, the workers leave and all that, like you said, what's going to be left? We got to look at the future, and we don't want to leave that mess for somebody else to deal with. So we need to look at this, come together, both people buying land or whatever, council, administration, VG, the port, all these parties need to come together in the next 6 months. Really, next month. Not 3 months from now, but next month. And find a solution. What do we need to make changes on? What needs to happen? I've talked to multiple residents that live in my district. District 3, we don't have any room for an RV park. There's just nowhere to go. But they own land down the road, and they're developing some. They're for the moratorium because they want to push it. I mean, they're trying to move it down the road, but I've heard 1 or 2 from my district that are against it. So I was not there last night. I had something with my family, but I have talked to my residents, and we need to look at the future. And if we don't come together as all these entities that I just mentioned, we're going to have a problem 5 years from now, and that's what we do not want. I yield.
You know, this has been an issue for years, and like Mr. Schultz said, we just wasn't prepared for it. We wasn't prepared. We wasn't prepared for our infrastructure. We don't have the water. You're putting forward a moratorium, and people saying that, you know, they push them down the road. Well, guess what? The people down the road don't want them. They don't want it either. And this is the problem I have. I have that people want to come into your community, they want to buy property, and they want to set up a trailer park. They don't want to live here, but they're going to set it up here. I don't want the problem. I'm going to put it in your community, but I'm not going to live here. I'm going to help make decisions for your community, but I don't live here. And this is what's been going on too long. I have a problem coming into your community and people buying property, and all of a sudden they want to set up a trailer park. That ain't right. I think if you ain't on the property for at least 5 to 10 years, you shouldn't have been able to set it up. That's, of course, that's my thoughts. I yield. Any more comments from the table? Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. LaFrance, you're 1,000% correct. So by doing this moratorium for whatever time frame it takes us, those are some of the issues that can be brought up that are valid points. You know, put some skin in the game. Put some, put some, live. That might be something we come up. You got to live close to the property or something like that. These are the things that nobody has thought about, that we hadn't worked out that we hadn't worked out up till today, or I don't even know if it's worked out today. But we really need to think about a lot of different ideas, and bringing a lot of different people to the table brings up these ideas. And it's a positive, in my opinion, to get things done right. There's not but one way to do things. Let's do it right. And I'm not saying that people that have trailer parks right now are not doing it right. That's not what I'm saying. But we need to have, like I said, we spoke about it, an exit strategy, and what goes on with that, and how does the property supposed to look when it's finished? Should it be as Mr. Becknell so eloquently put, A2, agriculture, you know, coming up through Jesuit Bend, the orange trees were beautiful down there. Look, ultimately, you know, we got two factors here. You got developers, business people. Some of the developers are residents of the parish. We got to consider both parties, and by doing this, that's what it's going to do. And I mean, in my opinion, I know Mr. Henry spoke about the parish, the Belle Chase being pristine. Well, my opinion is I want the whole Plaquemines Parish pristine from, I don't know, I guess you call it the jump down there all the way to the people call Belle Chase. Let's get all of it pristine. And if it does go down, we move folks further south, I can only see where it helps business. It's going to help Freeman's. It's going to help the local gas stations, the businesses there, because they're going to do things in that community and stuff like that. I'm not even going to get into traffic because we could stay a whole night with that. But and Dr. Gouy talked about zoning, but zoning is very generic. It doesn't identify the issues that a lot of the neighbors have. It's just a generic thing. So I'm in support of it, and I will vote in that favor. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield.
Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, the need's going to be persistent for about the next decade, and I think by slowing it down and getting it right, it'll help everyone, both sides of the aisle. So I think our challenge is, even though we have that moratorium, I know Councilman Jurisic is committed to resolving this inside of 6 months. That's just a frame. He's just framing our discussion, but we want to compress that as much as possible. But let's not lose sight. This is a problem we're going to have, or an issue we're going to have for the next 10 years. Let's get it right the first time. I yield.
Administration?
The only thing I would ask is, I know this is a moratorium that is set from Laura's seat to the parish lines, but at the end of the day, I would like for it to be incorporated throughout the whole parish. So the rules, if there's rules here in this area, these rules carry all the way to Boothville, Venice, to the parish line here. So, and that way, at the end of the day, if there's a mitigation process when there's time for them to pack up and leave, it happens throughout the whole parish here. So,
Mr. George, are you willing to amend it? Go ahead.
What the president is asking, any ordinance, anything we pass, but this area applies to the whole parish. Any rulemaking we make for this temporary moratorium will apply throughout the whole parish. It won't just be for that one area.
That's what I'm asking. Are you willing to amend it?
This doesn't.
well, I guess in the future, are you willing to? Right now, I really don't believe we need to, but at the end of the day, when these committees or this committee is formed and we come up with these rules, then we come and we introduce it at that time, and this ordinance will include the entire parish.
Right, the rules that we make.
The rules that we're coming up with right now from this day forward will mean the entire parish.
Any more comments from the administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes 6-4, 1 against, and 1 abstention. Next item, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I have some people here also, if we can move to 9L. It'll be a quick one, I believe.
We'll move to item 9L.
A resolution authorizing and directing the parish president to send a letter to the United States Army Corps of Engineers requesting action to close or limit the flow of water through the crevasses and/or breaches located at Mardi Gras Pass, the area below the Ostrika Locks, and at Neptune Pass and Fort St. Philip, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
So offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Jurisic, seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table?
Got somebody coming up, I think. Mr. McCarthy.
My name's Mike McCarthy. I own property down where these, I guess you call them tranasas or overflows or whatever it is. And I've already been to the Corps of Engineers and asked them to close them. They came down the river, they put some rocks, but they left the openings 90% open. What I asked them to do was to come and reduce the flow, which is what they're asking too. They told me that the parish was against it. This is the engineer on the project. I then went to the project engineer, and he said there was nothing that he could do. Well, when you all write a letter, the president or the council or whatever, then I can go back to him and ask him why they're letting this water go through and eroding all my property. Also, they have gas and oil pipelines that now are exposed. Some of the ditches and canals are 40 feet deep. These pipes are 20 feet deep. The pipe floated up about a year ago. The oil company came and reburied the pipe. In the last 6 months, 2 more oil companies have come and supported their pipes. Because of the flow of the water, when they put them there, it was on the bottom. Now, they're suspended. I don't know how to explain, if one of those pipelines breaks, the kind of mess we're going to have. They spent $11 million on a wedge. The next year, they had to right now they're rebuilding the wedge for another $11 million. Couldn't that money be spent stopping the overflow of the river into the marsh? It's just common addition to me, but I see exactly what's going on, and it looks like the only person that the Corps listens to is Mr. Armstrong, with all of the projects that he's done around there. So if that's what needs to happen, he will come and speak to y'all or whatever. But with this letter, at least they have to address the letter. They can't ignore it. They can't say that the parish wants the water to go through, which they told me. So that's why I went and spoke to Mr. Jurisic, and he came up with this idea. Because you all carry a lot more weight than just one person. So he also asked me to get as many of the landowners to sign whatever letter y'all put forth to give it more validity, because those are the people who are exactly affected by all of these cuts or passes, canals, whatever you want to call them. And if that's agreeable to y'all, we're not trying to tell you how to write the letter or anything. But if then you do decide to do this, and Mr. Hinckley goes with it, we would sign the letter if that gives it more validity. Or if you don't want us to sign it, we won't, But there's a problem, and this is a chance to address it. And if any of y'all would like to come and see the problem, we'd be more than happy to bring you. You go to Fort Jackson, you get in a boat, you go across the river. Or you go, the Neptune thing, what the engineer on the project told me was, Neptune was armored, meaning rocks, and then concrete forms or whatever put against the bank, the same as below Fort St. Philip. Well, he told me that it got away from him. Well, that's not satisfactory. When you have the same thing about 4 times as big. I have some maps here, if you all want to see them, of the property and the openings that they've left. I only have a couple of copies, but I can get copies for you, or whatever you all ask us to do, we'd be glad to help you and show you exactly what the problem is. So anyway, I'm in favor of writing a letter, and as many of the people affected will sign the letter, and I hope that you all decide to do this. Thank you all.
Wait.
I know you want to be me.
Dave Satanovich from all over Plaquemines Parish. To follow up on what Mr. McCarthy's saying, from Ostricka Locks to Bolivar Point, there are 7 breaks through the levee. Years ago, Steve Zagor's family, Russell Barrios' wife's family were from Ostricka. Where Steve's grandfather's house was, there's 40 feet of water now. Talking about Neptune Pass, years ago, these oil companies, Shell Oil, Chevron, and United Gas, had 3 pipelines that paralleled the river. Neptune Pass has 80 feet of water in it. Myself and Mr. McCarthy went there and recorded the whole thing with the fathom meter. Do you know, and Mitch, you know, at the end of Ostricka Canal, that dock that was a Shell pipeline. When that pipeline was laid, it was at a minus 15. It was marsh. Do you know there's 80 feet of water there now? That pipeline is 65 feet off the bottom. Can you imagine what happens with a pipe that's in the ground 60, 70 years with water running through there and all this stuff? I mean, you know, we're talking about, yeah, the land's washing away one thing, but this could be a catastrophe. And they just keep on saying, well, we're building marsh. Guess what? All they're doing is moving mud from here to there. The reefs in Quarantine Bay, yeah, there's a little sand on them now. But if you dig a hole as big as a Superdome, how much dirt you going to have? You know? And, you know, it's just reiterating what Mr. McCarthy said. From Ostricka all the way to Baptiste Colette, you may have 15, 18 breaks. And multiple places, he's talking about the United Gas pipeline. They did some work a few years ago. Guess what? It's out of the mud again. I mean, off the bottom. So, you know, this is something that's got to really be addressed. Thank y'all for your cooperation.
Thank you. Any more comments from the audience?
Mr. Satanovich and Mr. McCarthy got up here and spoke to you guys about the problems we got with the crevasses or whatever you want to call them, the cuts that's going through on the East Bank. Eventually, we're going to have a major catastrophe. There's so many pipelines that go across there. It'll be like the BP thing, but it won't be the BP thing in the Gulf of Mexico so many miles out. It'll be right in our backyard in Buras, Boothville, Venice, and Port Sulphur. If something's not done with those cuts, it's going to be a terrible accident. It's just a matter of time. Just like we discussing all this stuff about the property and the trailers and stuff. I heard Mr. Champagne say, we don't even have a plan to get these trailers out here yet. This is the 2nd week of August in hurricane season. 2nd week. And the parish is telling me they don't have a plan to get these trailers and stuff out? You do?
I don't think
Has it been published or something so the people will know? Or are we going to wait for the day you got to get out and then you're going to tell everybody?
Please, let's stick.
There is a plan.
Please, let's stick to the subject at hand.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, well, what's it? So what are we going to have to do? Mr. McCarthy gave you all a bunch of things. Are y'all going to be able to help the people with their property or?
As soon as you finish talking, we're going to vote on it and we're going to support it.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so
what's that?
Let's finish talking. You finished?
Well, you guys, thank y'all for letting me.
Thank you for coming.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Mardi Gras pass affect Perla-Harris too?
Absolutely.
All right. I'm just messing with you.
Yes.
Looking at the expression on your face. But Mardi Gras pass done mess Perla-Harris bad. I'm not a fisherman. I bought a boat in the motor, and I went out like 10 minutes, and I had to call friends to tell me how to get back in.
Yeah.
And I could see the top of the marina and still couldn't get back in. So that's not me. But I get more fish, shrimp, and crab from a lot of people. But now there is no shrimp. I got to buy my shrimps right now. The guys went out for trawling. They got to go way out to get shrimp. They can't even trawl anymore. They trawl, they catch a sand. Only thing left over on East Bank is crabs. So, and we don't have the guys that stop doing that because it's too much a problem. So I agree. We should have stopped that Mardi Gras pass a long time ago. I think the damage is already done on the East Bank.
Thank you, Mr. Brock. Mr. Konovich.
Yes, I agree with everything y'all said, and I've been to the Corps of Engineers over the last 4 years fighting the same fight. I asked them to give me an engineer to go measure the cuts that's breaking open, because all the tree huggers are saying it's building land. Well, they just moved land from one spot to another. And the Corps engineers, if they would listen to one of our letters that we'd send, we wouldn't have got a groundbreaking for diversion today, because we voted 9-0 to get rid of that. And they just don't want to listen, because all them breaks are bringing more salt water in. The river's so low, the fresh water ain't pushing down, the salt water's coming in. And they don't want to fix nothing. Well, buy us some new water plants.
Dr. Gouy?
I've been told to make this quick. I'll do my best. In the letter, I think it's very important that we emphasize that the task of the Corps of Engineers is to keep the river flowing for commerce, for the benefit of the nation. So they spend a lot of money on dredging. Well, the amount of money they spend on dredging is directly related to the water flow. So we've got natural crevasses, and we're getting ready to have a man-made crevasse. So when we look at what they're spending in relative to commerce, relative to saltwater wedges, it would behoove them to cut or make these cuts non-existent. I didn't even think about the pipeline stuff. I mean, that's just, I don't want to think about what's going to happen there. But, Keith, I really do think that we also should look at any previous legislation that this council or previous council has ever passed in regards to Mardi Gras Pass, Neptune Pass, Ostrich and stuff, and incorporate those things, because somebody said that the parish is in favor of it. Well, I don't know about that, but I know that we had some legislation, maybe Habbo remembers it, with some of these cuts that we're talking about. So I yield.
Ms. McCarty.
Mr. McCarthy? Hi.
It's Miss McCarty, not Mr. McCarthy.
Yes, I understand our ancestors took the H out of our name. But anyhow, thank you for calling the attention about the pipeline to us. That would be a major disaster, and we need to take care of that. I've already asked for a ruling whether or not I can vote on this. The reason I say that is because my mother was raised in Ostriga, or she lived in Ostriga. Yes, sir. We have Hingle land and cattle.
Please.
So I wanted to point out to you that about 15 years ago, I was contacted by the Army Corps of Engineers to ask if they could put dredging from the river on our land, which I don't believe they ever did. However, we are right at the Ostriga locks, and I would like to see us, in addition to trying to aim to close the crevasses, is to have some dredging put in that area. That's all. Thank you.
Mr. Konovich.
But I know in the last 4 years, we never sent a letter or anything to the Corps of Engineers saying we was against it. And I've brought maps from the 1700s to the Corps, because their big thing is, let's reconnect the river. Well, the river cut itself off to the bays. The first cut was 1740, Bayou Dale, broke it open to the river. It built stuff, then it closed itself. Then 1840, they dug open the jump, Baptiste, Colette, and Cubic's Gap. So if diversions work, Venice would be higher than Baton Rouge, but.
From administration?
I was prepared to just talk about just the situation that we've got right now with the saltwater intrusion. It's because of the CFSs, the flow of the river is very slow, and it's because of all of these crevasses, turnasses. But this is an easy letter for us to write here. So with that, and then you bring up these pipelines get even more scarier than saltwater intrusion right there. So it's kind of like, so anyway, easy letter.
Thank you.
And I can tell you, at 16 years ago to 8 years ago, nowhere in my 8 years on the council did we ever write a letter in favor of leaving these open. No. Right.
Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Hold on. No. I need to move to item 11B.
B, reading of public notice for the calling of an election on March 23rd, 2024, to authorize the continuation of 7 existing ad valorem taxes. Councilmember LaFrance.
I yield. I so offer.
No, we just read it.
We just reading, right?
We're just reading. Notice of intent to call election. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Section 19.1 of Title 42 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes of 1950, as amended, that the Plaquemines Parish Council, acting as the sole governing authority of the Parish of Plaquemines, State of Louisiana, is at its regularly scheduled meeting on September 14, 2023, at its regular meeting place, Belle Chase Council Chambers Building, 333 F. Edward Hebert Boulevard, Building 203, Belle Chase, Louisiana, at 3 p.m., will discuss and consider adopting a resolution ordering and calling an election on March 23, 2024, to authorize the continuation of 7 existing ad valorem taxes on all property subject to taxation within the parish for the purposes of 1, acquiring, constructing, operating, and maintaining public health units in the parish; 2, acquiring, constructing, and improving, maintaining, or operating public hospital buildings for the parish; 3, constructing, operating, and maintaining pollution control and abatement facilities in the parish; 4, maintaining roads in the parish; 5, constructing, operating, and maintaining solid waste, including landfill, and wastewater disposal facilities in the parish; 6, acquiring, constructing, operating, and maintaining waste disposal facilities, including garbage disposal in said parish; and 7, acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, or operating waterworks in and for the parish upon approval by the qualified voters therein, and if passed, for such taxes to be levied thereafter. That is it.
Thank you. Mr. Schultz?
Kim, on the second one, you read hospital buildings. I thought we took that out from under the parish. That's now PMC that they just voted on. Is that not our tax anymore?
It still comes to us, but they get that check straight. It's still our tax.
I thought we put it in their name, the whole tax. That was what we were told.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's no longer our tax. Why? They just renewed it. They just renewed it last election. Yeah, in April. They just renewed it in their name, so it should not be in our name anymore. So we need to look into that by September, I think was the date we're going to talk about it, but that should, my understanding was it's no longer in our name. Maybe this gentleman looks like he knows what's going on.
Bill Shafto. We work on the renewals.
Please
and
state your name and address.
Bill Bowles, 1818 Avenue of America, Monroe, Louisiana, from the firm of Bowles Shafto. The hospital tax was, we had a lot of discussion of the hospital facilities tax, and that is being assumed by the election that you had already. So I'm not sure that reads health unit. I'm not sure that's the same one.
Yeah, it was the second one that.
This is our health department under Raymond's.
What was the second one you read?
Yeah.
Or
it's
I think
the
it was the third one.
It was acquiring, constructing, improving, maintaining, or operating public hospital buildings for
Yeah,
the
that's-
parish.
That's not right. So I'm assuming we can eliminate that.
It'll be corrected. The hospital was taken out of that by that other.
Okay.
You're
That's why I
correct.
wanted to make sure because I was like,
I'm not sure.
okay, I yield.
Okay?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move. Uh-huh. We'll move to 9K.
A resolution authorizing the parish president to assign 104 Avenue G. Bell Chase, Louisiana 70037 to the Louisiana Young Artists and Young Authors Organization and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz.
Second.
Seconded by Ms. McCarty. Mr. Schultz. You have anything? You would like to explain it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So yes, this is the sheriff's office is moving out of the lockup. I think August 1st, and the Young Artists and Young Authors Association, we're looking to do a CEA where they can use the building. Is this in place of the building out here instead? In cooperation with that, so where they can use the building for art programs for the youth in the parish.
Good. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning.
Non-A1, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the Wana Colligan Treadway property, Section 10, 1831-15, 1860, T19S R28E, Home Place, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots DC1 and DC2, Home Place, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering Incorporated, dated May 18, 2023, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish Government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
So offered.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Konovich. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item, please.
3,
Yeah.
an ordinance to officially rename Crossover Lane in Phoenix, Louisiana to Enos Neely Campbell Jr. Lane, authorizing the installation of street signs therefore and the appropriate notices to the United States Postal Service and the Register of Voters of the same, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
Did anybody spell? Okay, we have a motion by
Unanimous second.
Mr. Champagne. We have a unanimous second? Yes. Okay. Any comment from the audience? From the table? Oh, Mr. Brock?
I didn't know it was going to come up today, but I just want to say one thing about this this gentleman, Enos Campbell. He was a chief master sergeant in the Army. That's an E9. Anybody been in the military? He made an E9. He's from the city of Phoenix, Louisiana, and he's one of my mentors. So I'm really proud of it, and I think it's well done. By him being a member of that area, a resident of that area, that proved a lot that Plaquemine Parish have a lot of talent in here. You don't become Chief Master Sergeant, you don't give that away very easily, lightly. He had to do a lot and more to accomplish a Chief Master Sergeant. And out that Sam area, that Sam address, there is another Chief Master Sergeant in that area. That's me.
Thanks. All right. Mr. Champagne.
Yeah, I would ask that the council indulge me and let me read the biography on Mr. Enos Neely Camel. This gentleman was a real American patriot and hero. He was born June 22nd, 1940 in Phoenix, Louisiana. He grew up in Phoenix and graduated from Phoenix High School, attended Grambling State University, and was a star basketball player and studied mathematics and physical education. In 1962, Mr. Camel joined the United States Army and spent 30 devoted years of his life, including 2 tours in Vietnam, 4 tours in Germany, 1 tour in Korea, and many other assignments throughout the United States. Throughout his military career, he served as a fire direction chief, special weapons chief, which if you don't know, special weapons is nuclear weapons, sea drill instructor, senior enlisted advisor for the Army, Army Reserve Command, operations sergeant chief, author of Nuclear Chemical Division for FORSCOM Headquarters, and he retired as a Command Sergeant Major, 2nd Battalion, 80th Field Artillery. Mr. Camel's awards included a Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal, Good Conduct Medal, and numerous other service medals. Mr. Camel spent 18 years as a junior ROT instructor and in charge of 18 schools in Orleans Parish. He's a proud husband, grandfather, and brother, and beloved uncle to Christian and American. He was affectionately viewed as the General Colin Powell of downtown Phoenix, and he strongly, the neighborhood and the community strongly supports the change of the name to Enos Neely Camel Lane. And as a former retired artillery officer and veteran of 33 years, I stand on this gentleman's shoulders. He's an American hero and patriot, and I hope that we support this. I yield.
Any more comments from the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
Brock, you gotta go home and start practicing that name now for the street.
Next item, please.
9A4, an ordinance to officially rename Avenue G in Belle Chase, Louisiana to Croatian Way, authorizing the installation of street signs therefore and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
We have a motion by Mr. Champagne.
Second.
Do we have a unanimous second? Okay. We have a unanimous second. Mr. Champagne.
As a resolution, and after speaking to legal, they recommended we change this to an ordinance so that we have the full legal. The parish legal team recommended we do this as a resolution. We voted on as an ordinance to have the full weight and power of the Plaquemines Parish government in this change to give us a greater degree of permanence. And lesson learned was always listen to legal before you move forward with resolution. So I offer as an ordinance.
Wait up. Was it introduced as an ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We have a motion by Mr. Champagne, unanimous second. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item, please.
B is deferred. C, an ordinance authorizing the parish president to enter into and execute a contract with lobbyist Mercury Public Affairs to represent Plaquemines Parish government in any upcoming sessions of the federal government or any other meetings and events deemed necessary to protect its interest in all matters for the remainder of the fiscal year, with an option to renew for the following fiscal year, provided funds are available in the 2024 adopted budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
I so offered. Seconded by Mr. Juricic. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item, please.
D, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Section 17.52 of Chapter 17.5, Article 1, Parks, Recreation, and Parish Facilities of the Code of Ordinances and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom, and this has changes.
On line 48, subsection D has been added, $25 per hour for setup and cleanup. On the second page at the top, another subsection D has been added, which is also $25 per hour for setup and cleanup. On the third page, under section 3, the subsection D of $25 per hour for setup and cleanup has been added. And those are all the changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Newsom. He offered this ordinance with changes, seconded by Ms. Jurtich. Any comment from the audience? Mr. Newsom?
Yes, this was introduced a couple meetings ago. We deferred it. Myself, Mr. DeMarco, legal, all went through this. A lot of time spent on this, and really no changes to the only changes for fee rental will be the multi-purpose building, and we also added a little bit of fee for hours for setup and cleanup, because we do have employees there from the parish that will have to be there. With that, I yield.
Any comment from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. We have 7 for, 1 against. Next item, please.
E, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, ambulances, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
I'll offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich.
I wanted to find out where we at with it.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. George.
Are we wanting to buy ambulances? 'Cause have y'all made up a decision?
I mean, but if you want to move forward with it, I mean, at the end of the day, we're going to need the ambulances. I mean, if that's either us or even if should we privatize?
I got a complaint from a constituent a couple of weeks ago. They was taking their grandson because he had a seizure.
Mm-hmm.
Ambulance broke down and they had to wait for one to come. So
let's move forward.
All right.
Any comment from the audience? From the table, Mr. Newsom.
What do we have? I know Mr. Representative Cormier got us $500,000 for ambulances. That should buy us 2 ambulances. And I know we have one brand new one from Venture Global that was a 2023 model. So I know we need ambulances, but we need all of it,
I just don't know. We've yet to have gotten the paperwork for the ambulance from the state.
Did they ever send that?
Never did. I talked to Representative Cormier last night, and he was going to start making some phone calls today.
I did send you the one for the Fort Jackson from.
Yes.
But the ambulance, 500 to buy one, and chest compression machines.
Wow. I don't know. I did some research. I don't have it in front of me, but Arrow ambulances was about, now this is an ambulance. I don't know what size or type. I think they go by types, but I've seen anywhere range from $165,000 to $249,000 for an ambulance. Now that's probably not equipped with anything, but I'm sure we got some equipment on our current ambulances we can transfer over. It would be correct, Jeff, in saying that?
Most of the equipment that we have and I say most, a lot of it, I don't know about most, is, would probably need to be replaced. Some of it is expired, some of it's outdated. We don't have quotes. We have verbal quotes on a couple of ambulances, over $300,000, which would be, equipped with what we need.
That's $300,000 equipped with everything we need?
Not everything, but most.
Thank you.
Mr. Schultz.
Yeah, I would like to wait to at least one more meeting because, we have $500,000. I thought we were buying, based on Mr. Cam Netter's presentation a couple weeks ago, there were going to be demo models, which is cheaper than a brand new one. So rather see what we can get with the $500,000 from the state. And then I'm not opposed to appropriating money at that point for the second one, but let's see what we get from the state, actually get the money from the state. And then we can see what's left over after we buy the Lucas device and get that.
That 300,000 he said was a demo model that they bring to the shows. And
Yeah, I know, but it's still,
it's 300,000 a piece.
Exactly, but 300,000 times 2 is 600,000.
Plus the other equipment.
We're asking for 800,000.
Plus the other equipment that goes in it.
Well, those demos models come with that. Yeah, I talked to him at a fire scene about it.
Manetta said, no, we got to put other things in it.
Then how does a brand new one that he just said 300,000 equipped?
That's a demo one.
Jeff, did you not say that comes equipped mostly? The 300,000 comes mostly equipped?
Equipped as far as what?
The stretcher and all that?
No. Mm-mm.
I'd rather do a little bit more research before appropriate, and especially since we have the 500,000. You say you talked to him last night. He's going to make phone calls today and tomorrow. I don't know.
I'm here at your wish.
I yield, but I was not expecting.
This has been deferred a couple times, and I've never gotten a call about it. And Cam Manetta's called a few of y'all. I don't know.
Well, my understanding was we were going to wait for the state, and then.
No, we wasn't waiting for the state. The state was just an extra one that Mac got us money for.
So you're saying you want to buy 3?
Yes.
We don't have the staff to.
He's already hired a couple people, one part-time and one regular one.
But we're already short-staffed.
The one, he's got enough people to put one in Venice. He told me yesterday. You could vote the way you want.
Well, you're HR. Did we hire enough? Do we have enough staff for a? I agree with you, Mr. Kongovich, that we do need to add another ambulance to the south.
The 2 trucks we got right now has got over 250,000 miles on it.
No, they do not.
Yes, they do.
I saw it with my own eyes at a call. It was 186,000 for the one bell chase.
That's what Cam Manetta told me. So we had the life.
No, not 180. Was it? But it was. I yield.
Let's do this. If you don't mind, where are we in the scheme of? We've got one more deferral.
Yeah, I'll defer it one more time.
Let's do that. Hey, Chris, we've got one more deferral. So let's do the research for the next 2 weeks here, and we'll have a better answer for you then. Okay.
What is your wishes, Mr. Kongovich?
Defer it.
Okay. Item 9I is deferred.
That's,
This is what they got in Jennifer.
9E.
9E.
Non-I, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, repairs, fire stations, parish-wide project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz, seconded by Mr. Champagne. Is there any comments from the audience? From the table? Mr. Schultz.
Just a quick overcap. This is to repair the Woodland Station and some Station 2 on Engineers Road. We've been, he had it on the agenda a couple months ago, but we wanted to wait and get quotes and everything, and they got back quotes and estimates, so we're ready to proceed. Mr. Butcher is ready. Mr. Edwards is ready. I think Ms. McCarty is ready for her station, so that's where we stand with that.
Any more comments from the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
J, an ordinance to amend the 2023 manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Jurich. Mr. Schultz.
Yes, this is for a sign installer and an engineering intern. Mr. Dugas asked that it will help with some inspections, and then we have signs just sitting back there, but nobody to install them. So this will help with signs throughout the parish. I yield.
Is there any, hold on, Ms. McCarty?
I just wanted to say the signs that need to be installed are also along Railroad Street in that area in District 5.
Mr. Hinckley?
It's also an engineering intern as well. Okay, just want to clarify that. That's the sign installer is very important, but this intern is very, very important because what it's going to do is it's going to help us do a little bit more work in-house for the small projects, the concrete repairs, the asphalt repairs, and just projects
Also
like that.
can do some shattering with Mr. Kendu.
Yes. So.
I like that idea. Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item.
9M, an ordinance to amend the 2023 operating expenditure budget, various funds, various departments, various line items, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
This has changes. In the digest, the amount, throughout the ordinance, the amount that was originally in there, 241,000, has now been changed to 261,000. In section 1, it is now coming from the unreserved, undesignated fund balance. And in the chart on line number 22, the amount of money has been changed from 25,000 to 45,000, and those are the changes.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Any discussion, any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item.
N, an ordinance to amend the 2023 Public Health Fund operating expenditure budget, ambulances, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Newsom. Mr. Schultz. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, this is the follow-up from what we voted on last month or last meeting where we had money in the budget to pay the lawsuit, but we had to pay before the new actuarial numbers came in. But this is to put the money, to basically replace that money in the budget to get us through the end of the year.
Any comment from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
O, an ordinance to amend the 2023 general fund operating expenditure budget, legal services, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy, and this has changes.
On line 14 of the ordinance, We are now taking the money from the unreserved, undesignated fund balance, and that's the only change.
Well, we have a motion by Dr. Good. Do I have a second? Seconded by Mr. Schultz. Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. That was a good.
Councilmember Councilmember Champagne.
That was a good try.
Oh, I'm sorry, I accidentally hit it. No, I just accidentally hit
And
it.
the measure
No, it was
passes
interfere-
unanimously, 8-0.
I've read a lot today. It's time to go.
Next item.
An ordinance to amend the 2023 Library Services Fund operating expenditure budget, Libraries General Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gui.
We have a motion by Dr. Gui, seconded by Ms. McCarty. Dr. Gui. There are 20,000.
I'll give you less than that, Dr. Gui. AC repairs has eaten up library monies this summer so far, so we need to put some more money in the budget for that.
Any comments from the audience? From the table? Administration? Machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
Q, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan repair South Concord Road project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Newsom.
We have a motion by Mr. Newsom, seconded by Mr. Champagne. Mr. Newsom.
Yes, this was a project on South Concord Road. We appropriated earlier $200,000. We got some estimates from engineering, which is a outsourced company we use through Mr. DeMarco and Peak Engineering. They have projected the cost of the repair. It's a sewer line that's, I don't know, about 10 feet in the ground. That's got the road, I don't know, Billy, about a 10-foot hole in there. Y'all had to fill with rocks one time, and the rocks have just gone away. There's 3 spots that are real bad. Talking to Infomark, Mr. Troy Phillips, he said that this is a huge potential problem because if the sewer line breaks, we're going to have to get a pump and run a pump there to get it fixed. So this is just putting some money here. So we'll have 1.2 in the project, and this will have to go out for bid. So hopefully the bid comes back within these range. And, well, we'll have to do what we can do with this amount of funds. So with that, I yield and ask for your support.
Any comment from the audience? Mr. Brown, come sit closer to that mic, sis. Come sit over there.
I said the same thing because I wanted to say something but you moved so fast, so I just sit back down. I'm good.
You got to get close.
I know. We have also had one of those sand problems over on East Bank. In the event, I reported it, and it's a large, like 6-foot diameter sump hole, and it's from the sewage. When the heavy rain, you smell the sewage in that whole area. And I filled it in with dirt and came back a couple of months. All that dirt was gone, so it got to be a hole in the pipe itself. So whenever you fix that one, I need to take a look at that one. And I reported to Infomark more than one time.
Can we get one of the directors to look into that? Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
All right, no problem.
Any comments from the table? Administration, machines are open. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item, please.
R, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan repairs Daybrook Lift Station replacement project and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Jurtich. Mr. Konovich.
As read.
Any comments from the audience? Audience, anything from the table? Any comments from the table? Administration, machines are open. McCarthy, you laid back. And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0.
10, approval of the minutes from the July 27, 2023 regular meeting.
Offer.
We have a motion by Mr. Konovich, seconded by Mr. Schultz. Machines are open. Mr. Newsom? And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. Next item.
11, new business. 11C, District non-update, Councilmember Kotnovich.
We have a motion by Mr. Schultz to adjourn, seconded by Mr. Durgich. Machines are open.
Councilmember McCarty?
Ms. McCarthy?
Thank you.
And the measure passes unanimously, 8-0. We'll have adjournment at 6:22 p.m.